Design by committee sounds like a great way because you're averaging out everybody's thoughts and therefore you're pleasing everybody, and it ends up with a much, much better result. Doesn't it? No, it really doesn't. And I'm sorry to say that it is kind of the death of design in our industry. And there's a really, really sort of simple way to explain why that turns up like that. And frankly, the solve to falling down the sort of that route of going to a design by committee is quite a simple one. It's don't. Put somebody in charge and maybe have a couple of few trusted people in that sort of world who can sort of give their opinions. But if you ask too many people, unfortunately you get too many opinions, and then you end up with design by committee, which waters everything down. But the main reasons why it's dangerous is time. So people are inherently helpful. Generally speaking, people are lovely. So if I were to have designed this, and I ask a dozen people who I like and who I trust, who I work with, give me your opinion on this, what they will do is exactly that. And if it's great, they don't want to let me down. They want to find something that they might think is helpful, so they will go, have you tried? What about if? Could you just see if? They will give helpful things because they're trying to be nice, and that just eats up time. And what that means is that you end up sort of trying to placate a lot of people and trying lots of things, but they're actually not particularly bothered about trying those things. They're just trying to be nice, they're trying to be helpful. But once you've asked them, you've kind of got to at least show that you've paid attention to that, else you're being rude. So it eats up a bucket load of time, and every so often, if it comes to that, it can end up costing you a lot of money if you're getting charged for multiple revisions. So time is one big reason. The other one is compromise. So in the same sort of vein is the more people you've got, the more problems and more sort of comments you've got. So again, using my sort of strange sort of little pencil here, what you end up doing is they go, well, that's just odd. Can we round that off? Can we get rid of the bright colour? Can we get rid of that design feature? And you essentially just come back to using Arial bold as the wording with no icon, because somebody's got a problem with everything. And you end up just compromising over and over again until you get something very generic and bland and hasn't got any uniqueness or character in it. The third reason, on top of the type and the compromise, is the lack of focus, the lack of sort of accountability in that. So what I mean by that is once you've got a bunch of people who might not be the same people as you're trying to sell to, they're going to give their opinions, but because they're not in the same mindset, they don't have the same interests, they don't have the same demographic, maybe age groups, God knows what, they're not going to have the same opinions as the end user you're trying to attract. So every time you're listening to their sort of thoughts on that, you're getting slightly further away every revision from the thing that was going to work. And that unfortunately leads to it not working, which is where I mentioned the accountability, because that's where sadly it gets really messy. Because then who's accountable for the fact that it didn't work? Because it's not Bob, because he said, oh, have you just tried? It's not Ted, because he said, I was only thinking it might be an option. It's not Wilma, because she said the same. And all of a sudden, nobody is accountable for the fact that it didn't actually fit the purpose that it was originally intended for. So when you start thinking, oh, I'm going to show some people, just keep it to a small trusted group, because it really gets rid of all of those problems. And you not only save a lot of time and energy, but you end up with a much better result. And that's how to avoid design by committee. Cheers.